But Felicia's children are still in the early phases of unschooling. I journeyed to Utrecht to meet the Bremer family and see how unschoolers turn out. Hannelie aspires to be a horse trainer. Christelle wants to play the piano professionally, and Horst is studying his private pilot's license. He's 15 and doesn't need a matric certificate to fly a plane. So you've never been to school in your entire life. Where did you learn everything that you know?
Most of the stuff I learned is from my parents, but from people I met through my life.
Children are learning machines. The human being is a learning machine. And the history is there to back us up on that point. The family environment and the housekeeping environment is a highly stimulation-packed environment for a child.
With parents, particularly from poor environments, look at what you have. If you cannot afford to take your child to a creche, it's okay to use the facilities that you have at home, the pots that you have, the little containers that you have, the sand that you have outside in the backyard.
I'll get into it now.
Yes,
How do you want your child's brain to be wired?
The way his brain is supposed to be wired. I believe they are all born with specific talents that are there for a reason. And they will show you what they are interested in. I was a superman trying to make the best choices for the children. We lived in good suburban areas, so these children needed to be in good schools and they had to be the best of the what the city could offer. And we needed to be in count with the other mums around as well, which were from upper middle class families, I would like to think.
Angela.
Hi guys, welcome.
Angela Waywell has opted to follow the more traditional route, the one that Anna Bremer chose to abandon. How are you doing?
Fine. I'm making boxes.
I came from a long line of teachers, so for me, I always knew that I would want to be very much involved in their education on the home side. So with homework, or I'd always ask them, what did you do at school today? And then try and string it out a bit. It's tried and tested, and in my mind, it's proven to be effective. And then Isabella was now in grade R, so really thrown into preparing herself with all the writing and whatnot. So for me, it was a little bit stressful because I wanted to be there all the time for her, but I couldn't.
6-year-old Isabella attends a German private school, and she has quite a busy schedule. Swimming on Monday, ballet on Tuesday, and an awards ceremony later that week.
Things like this she'll get regularly from school to show that she's participated in something, whether it's the Kiddies Olympics or she sang at some opening ceremony, like recently they've opened an extension of the kindergarten. So they always get recognition for the things that they do, you know, no matter how small, which I think is very important. They like to feel very special and singled out.
You know what happened?
But I also have this kind of controlling nature where I want to know what's going on, and I also want to be a participant. So that's why I ask to see the exercises, and I buy all those exercise books so that I can emulate what's done at school at home, and I can see that she is capable. Then we also have feedback sessions with the teachers where she might be lacking, like for instance the pencil grip. I was given this recently, well not recently, a few months ago, just to ensure that she gets the right pencil grip, just for her own advantage, so it doesn't ache when she's colouring in or writing.
We do inappropriate things in terms of stimulation with young children. If you don't understand these developmental stages, you would tend to put a 3-year-old at a desk with a pen and a piece of paper and expect for them to copy, for example, numbers, which they're just not developmentally, the brain is not ready to do that.
There's always that inherent fear, you know, is she ready? Is she going to make it? which is why I sent her for these educational, the psychological assessment a couple of weeks ago, because she's proven herself, but you can't help it, you know. There's this deep-rooted fear, will she make it? Is she capable? Is she going to succeed? Is she ready for grade 1?
Another of Angela's concerns is Isabella speaking German at school and English at home. Mother tongue versus language of instruction is an issue for many black South African families too.
A lot of kids who come from black middle-class families, they're still underprepared to go into the private school environment because the demands in terms of language are higher. They're required to be speaking and using English at a higher level than what they're used to at home. If they can use that language to think, to explain, to tell a joke, to argue, all of those things, we know that their thinking level is connected with language and it's at a higher level. And then when they do the transition to English, they'll be able to cope with the language.
I allow her to answer me in English because I know that even though I'm communicating with her in vernac, at school she's still able to communicate with the medium of instruction, which is English.
With a hectic work schedule and his sister starting a new job too, Ndeyedzo will rely heavily on the school for his daughter's development.
Homework is quite a big concern for me. I'm hoping that she will be able to get some form of assistance in the aftercare that they have, or if I can get an au pair that can assist her, that would be great. I don't have a lot of time on my hands.
The warning from the experts, though, is that parents shouldn't expect all teaching to be done at school.
The environment you create in your home is the first baseline for them to learn. That's where you teach them values in terms of what is right and wrong. That is where you teach them to learn the language, which they're going to use later to learn and to think, to explain, whatever it is that they're going to do at school. And that's where you also get to teach them to accept themselves, to develop their sense of self, to know who they are and how they fit into the family, and therefore later on how they will fit into the community and the world.
And one of the things that I would never want my daughter to undergo is the kind of education system that I went through, where I was not exposed to life skills. Like I'm saying, she's good at swimming. I mean, and it's because that there was that extramural at her creche. I can't swim.
Education is not just the only principle of happiness. It requires that we develop the right decision-making skills so that our work fits into our lives and not ourselves into our job. Career-wise, where do you see her going? What do you see for her future?
Well, that's interesting. You know, because of her artwork, I've spoken to her about design of different avenues. I've shown her interior design, architecture, fashion design. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think art and design is her future, but who knows? I'll let her decide, but I'll guide her.
Casper's told me that he wants to be a scientist. He's also told me that he wants to make YouTube videos. And I think that's kind of like more of an all-rounded person because there's art and there's science.
Creating an alternative reality rather than squeezing into the mold is what the Bremmers say will ensure their children's future happiness.
This is not real life. They're essentially in a bubble, and that they're eventually going to have to go to, whether it's a job or university, and how are they going to deal with that?
It's a good question. The social issue question comes up very often. What is different from a home educating family, social structure, is that they are more inclined to choose their friends. So they don't just take whatever is available, like the child that's at school has to choose from what's available in there. But they have the privilege of saying, okay, I don't like Johnny that much, but I don't have to be around Johnny that much.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, I do have a phone, but I don't have a SIM card because I can't find it using it. Because, I mean, I don't run a business, I'm only a teen. What do I need a phone for?
We want children to be able to be resilient, to face life.
When you're facing a challenge, recognize the resources you need internally as well as externally.
I just looked at my child and thought, okay, I need to prioritize according to the needs of the child.
Every human being is born with certain talents, something that he is destined to excel at.
Just keeping an eye open for where their loves lie, not just their talents, but where their love and their interest lies.
And I want my children to be able to go into the world and learn anything at any time, and to be thrown into any situation and be able to survive.
The young mothers must have time for their kids.
A child just needs one significant adult in their life, and they can be catapulted out of the circumstances in which they live.
And that's how most of us make it.